Welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Well, hello everybody. I guess this is video number 4 in a series of things that you can do with your sourdough starter other than just make it into a loaf of sourdough bread, regular bread. And this one is going to be brioche. I made brioche many years ago, a long time ago now, but not with sourdough, so this is a totally new experience for me. And the recipe is one that is actually a professional baker's recipe. This would only make a couple of loaves, but the instructions say that this can be multiplied and everything will turn out, perfectly, even if you do it 10 or 15 times more than what we're doing here. I'm not a professional baker, as we all know very well, but I like this recipe because everything in it is weighed. And it gives it both in metric and what they're calling imperial, which is ounces, I guess, or they're just doing ounces, okay, which would be imperial, but normally dry cups, measures, and whatever would either be imperial or US. The US cup and the imperial cup are different, but this is all either in ounces or grams. I've chosen to use grams, and I will put a link to the recipe down below, but I guess if you don't have kitchen scales, it's time to go buy a set. They're not very expensive, $10, $12 or so will get you a decent pair of kitchen scales. So the butter, which I've got already sort of chunked up there, has to set out for several hours to become room temperature. So I've prepared everything and got it all sitting out here. We'll go through them one at a time. There's 500 grams of what they're calling a strong, light sifted flour, white, in other words, a bread flour. I'm just using my Robin Hood bread flour. 30 grams of sugar, 10 grams of salt, and it says 3 eggs. They do give you a number there, but 200 grams. Well, with my eggs, my hens are starting to lay again. 3 of the eggs that were laid by my larger girls and 1 bantam egg gave me 200 grams. So, it depends on the size of your egg, but if you are using store-bought large eggs, they're sort of standardized. They have a weight. Each egg is selected by weight by a machine, obviously, but they've put in brackets here 3 eggs anyway. 250 grams of sourdough starter, 300 grams of butter, and 200 grams of milk. And this is going to now sit out for several hours. The butter was the one thing that they stipulated had to be warm, but I thought, well, if I put it all out now, when I'm ready to use it, it will all be the same temperature. So I will bring you back later on when we unveil this and start making the brioche. Well, it's several hours later now, and that is all of the ingredients except the butter in the mixer. And first I'm just going to mix it long enough to combine it. That's been going about 2 minutes and it's well combined. Now just shut the mixer off and let it rest for 15 minutes so that it will hydrate. Well, it's had a 15-minute rest, and now I will knead it on just a medium-low speed for another 10 to 15 minutes, probably around 10 minutes. I've been reading this recipe and also watching a video that Patrick Ryan put out. Patrick Ryan is the Irish baker that I've referred to before. Of course, he wasn't using sourdough. He was using conventional yeast in his. But the idea of the slow knead is you don't want to create too much heat in the dough. So I'll bring you back in about 10 minutes time. It's been kneading for a full 10 minutes. And it's looking about what it's supposed to look like according to other videos that I've watched anyway. And now it's time to incorporate the butter. And you do that gradually over another 10 to 15 minute period of time, depending on how long it takes. You make small additions. And don't add additional butter until the butter that you just put in there has completely mixed in with the dough. So I'll bring you back and show you that maybe halfway through or so. It's probably been about 8 minutes, maybe close to 10 minutes, and I've got about half of the butter incorporated. You'll see some lumps in there from the last batch that I put in, but it is making the dough come together better. It's always going to be a wet dough. To get it so that you can handle it once it has gone through its proofing, you refrigerate it for a few hours, and that of course causes the butter in it to firm up and makes it so you can handle it. But that's what it's looking like with about half the butter in it anyway. But the last of the butter just went in. Just going to knead it for another 2 or 3 minutes before I take it out of the mixer. I've buttered the bowl for it to rise in. Now, like Patrick Ryan does, I'm going to put a little oil on my hands. Makes it easier to handle a wet dough. See if we can't get it out of the mixer here. Hate to waste any of it. I guess that's most of it. Part of it is still clinging to the sides. Now this just gets folded over a little bit here, and then it will be covered and allowed to rise at room temperature for overnight, 12 to 15 hours he suggests. Patrick Ryan was using regular yeast with his, so he was able to put it directly in the refrigerator, but sourdough is a bit more delicate than that. It needs to at least double or even go to 1.5 times before you refrigerate it. But it does have to be refrigerated for 2 or 3 hours. That will allow the butter to solidify again and make the dough so that you can handle it, hardens it up some. So I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in the refrigerator anyway. It's only been about 7 hours. I think my room temperature must be a little warmer, because I would say that's definitely at least 1.5 times larger than it was. So I don't want it to overproof and then collapse on itself, so I'm going to now refrigerate it for at least 3 or 4 hours. You can, according to Patrick Ryan, you can refrigerate it for 24 hours, use half of it and refrigerate the other half for another 2 or 3 days if you want. I plan to bake both halves of it at once, but I don't want it to get any larger than that. I'm scared it'll start to collapse, so I'm going to refrigerate it now. Well, the pastry, the dough, whatever, has been in the refrigerator now for about 6 hours, I guess, so it's certainly well chilled. I'm going to prepare a couple of different pans. This is my crazy bundt pan, and I don't know how that's going to work out, but I want to try it. There is a traditional shape for this type of bread. I don't have the proper mold. I had one years ago, but it was made of tin and started to rust. Anyway, I discarded it a long time ago. So our brioche is going to try making it in a bundt pan and a regular loaf pan. I'm not so sure that it's really necessary to do this, but I noticed that Patrick Ryan did it, so I'm sure he must have had a reason. What butter is in the brioche, I can't imagine that it would stick. Better safe than sorry, I guess. And a little bit of flour on the board here would be good to turn the dough out on. So that will be the next process. I just had a sneak peek. I think it did even more rising while it was in the refrigerator, but now it's a nice, not tacky, but not sticky like it was. So hopefully it will be able to be shaped. I did my math, and there should be 1,490 grams there. All the accumulated weights. So 745 grams each for a loaf. Somewhere here I've got scales in there. Grams. I'm never very good at eyeballing things, which is why I like scales, but if I get one close to that weight, then I should have that's 742. That's not exactly working. This one is 630 something. So the accumulated weight wasn't quite correct, but yeah. That's pretty close. Now for the bundt pan, I've been thinking about this, not quite sure how to get it certainly isn't going to grow to fill the bundt, but I'm hoping to get some of the design down in there. So it's still very cold and easy to handle at this time. So put it down over there and hope for the best, I guess. Press it down in. Should get at least some of the design off the bottom of it, we hope. Shaped loaf. These can be shaped in many ways. Patrick Ryan, one of the videos that I watched, did a braid, 3-strand braid, I think. I'm not going to get fancy. This stuff is ice cold to the fingers. And that will take several hours. I'll cover it. First, it has to come back to room temperature before it'll start to do much more rising. But ideally, I probably probably shouldn't say this before we see what the final product's going to look like. But according to Patrick, in a loaf pan like this, if you can just see it starting to rise up over the pan, then it is probably proved enough, and you'll get more of an oven spring. It'll rise more when you put it in the oven. So I'll bring you back in 3 or 4 hours time. We'll see what this looks like. Well, after almost 6 hours of rising, that's as high as it got. The one in the bundt pan seems to have done better than the one in the ordinary cake pan, or bread pan. I'm brushing it now with an egg wash. It's just an egg beaten up with a little salt. I've never added salt before, but that's what Patrick Ryan said he does, so that's what I'm doing. Now they bake in a 215 degrees Celsius, 420 degrees Fahrenheit oven. And it says for 45 minutes for the loaf size, but I don't know, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I don't think my loaf size is as big as they're talking about. Maybe the one in the bundt pan will go that long. But we will see, I guess. I'll show you what they look like when we come back out of the oven anyway. Well, I didn't go 45 minutes, but I went a full 40 minutes. I wish I could share the aroma with you. Boy, did they ever smell good baking. Now to see if I can get them out of the pans. My timer going off. It certainly did pick up the shape of the bundt pan. One of the advantages of using a glass or Pyrex bread pan, I could tell at 30 minutes or so. The top was nice and brown, but I could tell by looking in through the glass that the loaf wasn't really baked well enough. In a tin pan you couldn't tell that, I guess. I am pleased with that. It certainly got a lot of oven spring. It wasn't anywhere near the top of the pan when it went in the oven. And now, unfortunately, I have to wait until they're cool enough that I could cut them to see what it's like. But I'll bring you back and we'll give this a taste in an hour or so. Well, I'll try the funny shaped loaf. See what it's like. Certainly cuts easily enough. Said that too soon. I'm not using a bread knife. I thought this knife would do a better job. I think I should have used a bread knife. Oh my, yeah. It's just as soft and nice as can be. Yellow from the eggs and the butter that's in it, and very moist. I presume that's from all the butter that's in it. You certainly wouldn't need to add any butter to it. And is that ever good? I can't compare the flavor to regular brioche that doesn't have sourdough in it because it's been so long since I've tasted it, but this is delicious. It does have a nice sourdough flavor. It's supposed to make excellent toast, and everybody says the world's best French toast. So the next thing I'm going to do here is take a slice and make a little French toast and see what it tastes like. So stay tuned. I just quickly mixed up a simple French toast mixture. It's just an egg, a bit of milk, some nutmeg, some cinnamon, and a dash of vanilla. And I have butter warming in the pan there. Turn that down, I guess, before I have brown butter in the pan. This stuff is so good I could grow to like it quite easily. I don't think it's exactly #1 healthy thing to be eating with all that butter that's in there. But does it ever taste good? Well, no, it won't give up. There we go. Well, they've been 2 or 3 minutes on that side. Soon I'll be able to try them. Well, I am not going to add any pancake syrup or maple syrup or anything. I want to taste these things as they are, without something else masking the flavor. Piping hot, of course, just out of the frying pan. That is wonderful. Nice and buttery and soft. The flavor of the vanilla, the nutmeg, and the cinnamon, even though I didn't use very much. You can see the inside of that or not. And that is delicious. Excuse me for talking with my mouth full again. But well worth the effort, in my opinion, so I hope you'll give it a try. And thank you very much for watching.